Reverse aging by improving your metabolic health. Just a few changes could help you look and feel younger. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Erin LeBeau.
And I'm Tamza Fidel. According to a recent study out there, your metabolism does not begin to plateau until about 60. But many people younger than that are suffering from exhaustion and a lot of low energy, which of course are signs of a metabolism slowing down, and that comes down to metabolic health.
Yeah, and Dr. Ben Bikman is a renowned metabolic research scientist and author. He's joining us now with ways to reverse our metabolic age. First of all, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, let's jump right in and break down for people what is metabolic health.
Right. Yeah. So there would be a lot of ways we could define it. I think the simplest are the hormones that manage metabolic processes in the body working as they should. That to me is the best way to define it, because that gives us something we can track, but it's these metabolism managing hormones that really have all of the effects that we start to want to avoid, like the weight gain or the changes in blood pressure and many others, including things that happen on our skin that are evidence of the metabolism not working in our favor.
All right, so let's talk about this. There's a thing called metabolic age. Is it something that can actually make you feel or look younger?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Or tragically, as it's happening nowadays, it makes people feel or look older than they really are, where you have younger and younger children that are suffering the consequences of these obvious metabolic disarray of the metabolism not working well. One of the most obvious, like literally to the naked eye, is changes in the skin around the back of the neck. Oh. And if people notice that they have this little ring around the back of their neck that's rough, kind of crinkled skin, that is very solid evidence of the metabolism not working in their best interest. Also in that same area, these little bumps of skin called skin tags. It's almost like a little column or a little mushroom of skin. These skin tags are also proof positive of metabolism not working well. And then similarly obvious to the naked eye are the sex-specific differences, where in women, a woman who has a metabolism that's not working for her, it would be male pattern baldness. I don't mean kind of general hair loss from the entire scalp, but right on that ring on the top of the head. And then in men, something that's increasingly happening in younger and younger fellas is erectile dysfunction. In fact, many will state that erectile dysfunction is the earliest sign of disordered metabolism, happening in men as early as their late 20s, something that used to happen in guys when they were 60 or 70.
Okay, so Ben, what are some ways that we can actually increase our metabolism?
Yeah. So there are some obvious ones, like just get up and be more active, but those are boring and everybody already knows those. My focus is how the hormones in the body will influence metabolic rate. And there are two in particular that I think our lifestyle habits have gotten these to work against us. The first thing is we eat too often. And by consistently eating, we never allow the body to go from the fed state into a fasted state. And it's a little known fact that when we're fasted, from around the point of about 20 hours into a fast, our metabolism actually increases. We have a boost in our metabolic rate. Most people think that fasting slows metabolic rate, but that's not true. And it's through the effects of adrenaline, this kind of famous hormone that kind of excites the body. When we fast, adrenaline comes up and it accelerates the metabolic rate. The metabolic engine just starts idling a little higher. But of course, we eat too often and we eat the wrong things. We eat these, we get all of our food, all of these starchy, sugary foods from bags and boxes with barcodes. And that means we're spiking the hormone insulin all the time. It's a sugary coffee, or it's a bagel, or it's a sandwich, or sugary cereal. And the more insulin is elevated, the more it suppresses our metabolic rate by even a few hundred calories per day. And so if we can fast a little more frequently or eat less frequently and focus on foods that don't spike our insulin as much, so control our carbohydrates, focusing more on good proteins and healthy fats, that'll help our insulin stay low. Now all of a sudden we have the metabolic boosting effect from the higher adrenaline, and we've removed the metabolic suppressive effect of constantly spiking our insulin.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions to ask you. So I want to get to this one because I know it's important. It's kind of twofold. Foods that we can eat or foods that we shouldn't eat, but also times a day of fasting. Are you saying do it in the morning versus the evening? I know you talk about that on Instagram a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks. Yes, so in fact, there was a paper just published that further adds evidence to the fact that an earlier eating window, or in other words, a later fasting window, is the best for metabolic health. So people that are eating earlier in the day and then fasting later in the day will enjoy greater metabolic benefits. Of course, that becomes socially awkward, right? Because it's dinner that we want to eat with our friends or our family. So my advice is to follow the old adage, which is you breakfast like a king or queen, you eat lunch like a prince or princess, and then you have dinner like a pauper. And so that your meals are basically, they're kind of toning off throughout the day, so that by the end of the day, you're kind of starting to push back from eating too much. But it's doubly important, because if we go to bed with our having just spiked our glucose levels, that will make us much warmer and have a much higher, a faster heart rate, and we'll feel like we're anxious, but we're not anxious at all. It's just by going to bed with having spiked our blood sugar levels, the body has in fact activated the same process as if we were anxious.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting. Well, okay. Well, does the metabolic age have an impact on weight gain or weight loss? You touched on this a little bit, but.
Yeah. So, right, if we look at, there's so much we could unpack, right? But one of the great myths is that, and I see it as a university professor, people graduate from college, they go on in their career, their families, they start gaining weight, and always they say, my metabolism slowed. And that just doesn't happen. Metabolic rate from the time we come out of kind of adolescence at around 20, and now we're adults, in our adult bodies, our metabolism is a flat line in men and women until right around the age of 60, and then it starts to curtail. But despite all of that, we continue to gain weight during this plateaued 40 years. We just have to make sure that we are following these kind of simple dietary rules of helping these metabolism managing hormones work in our favor. And if we can kick up that plateau, shake up the plateau a little bit, it'll just help the metabolic rate work in our favor and help prevent weight gain.
Ben, before we run out of time real fast, you have a product that worked toward this. Can you talk about that quickly?
Oh, for sure, yeah. So my conviction is such that I want to take these scientific ideas from the lab and put them into practice. And so working with some experts, we designed a meal replacement shake that is just built on a foundation of ideal fats and ideal proteins in an optimized ratio, controlling carbohydrates, just so that when a person is eating, they're eating well and they're keeping their insulin in control.
Great.
Wow, so much to take in there.
I have 100 more questions, but we're out of time.
All right. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.